to the Clark Theater for that riveting introduction. That's gonna be hard to live up to. God, how's it going? It's Sunday, please. We should be watching The Walking Dead or something. Man, on the eve of the big day, huh? I love that somebody just called for their horse Silver, like a random. Thank you all so much for coming on a Sunday, on a weird, I don't know what's up with your weather here, but it's set up for a horror movie for sure. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go for a walk, and then I was like, I'm scared. I'm not gonna go for a walk. In case you couldn't tell, I'm obviously nervous. I get nervous every time I do these things. It's weird to just come out and be like, I'm gonna talk to you. It's just because there's no reason for me to really be here. Not that I don't want to be here, but it's just like, it's weird to like, this is my life where I just come and talk poems at people. And I realize there's probably a couple dudes in the audience who just heard the word poem or poetry and they're like, fuck. Trapped in poetry. It's okay, we're gonna get through it, and it's gonna be fun, I hope. I don't know. I guess we should just get into it, right? I'm never sure what I should say to sort of like warm up an audience, but I feel like I have to sort of, it's like putting the lotion in the hands and warm up a little bit before you work this skin and muscles is what I was going to say. I'm not going to leave anything up to your imagination. Y'all are dirty. Okay. The other day I had an interesting experience, just in terms of somebody coming to me and talking to me about, you know, like, I mean, I was feeling kind of low this week, and they came and they just reminded me of that sort of like the brightness and the vibrancy of, like, I mean, not forgetting, you know, the youth that exists inside of you, because while your body doesn't always feel youthful, there's a part of you inside that can feel that. And so I wanted to start with this piece and dedicate it to all of you and hopefully take you back to that place and remind you that it's okay to be there. Okay. Oh, just so you know, there's going to be some language involved in the show. It's a poetry show, of course, it's going to be language. When I was a kid, I hid my heart under the bed because my mother said, if you're not careful, someday someone's going to break it. Take it from me, under the bed is not a good hiding spot. I know because I've been shot down so many times I get altitude sickness just from standing up for myself. When I was a kid, I could fill a bookshelf with every different way they would tell me how not to play. They said, it's time to start putting childish things away. And I was like, fuck you! This is Skeletor! But more and more they made me believe that our hearts are like doorknobs, and that's where we get the sound of the beat, and I'll never get to meet the man inside me if I can't stand still long enough to be there. I'll never make it anywhere if I keep running away. I'll never know myself if all I ever do is play Nicky Nicky 9 Euros to ask, don't you want to be a man? And when I was a kid, I wanted to be a man. I wanted a registered retirement savings plan that would keep me in candy long enough to make old age sweet. I wanted 2 left feet so I could dance circles around important issues until way past my bedtime. I'm not saying I don't have opinions, just that others were less likely to argue as if they're as tired as I was. Fatigue does to men what a goodnight kiss does to kids. It puts weights on our eyelids and returns us to a place where reason and imagination lace together shoes whose tongues stick out at stillness and beckon us to move forward. As a kid, I was always drawn toward moonlight. the spike an armada of adults who insisted I must set my days according to sunlight. I would lay in bed and fight sleep, believing if I shut my eyes even for an instant, I would miss out on something amazing. Turns out I was right. I have seen stars stamped into the night like cookie-cutter designs, drew lines in between each one, inventing new constellations so that when somebody asked me, "What's your sign?" I could point to mine. The one hanging over the first door past the finish line and say, "It's right there." The one marked exit. Because one day all this getting ahead bullshit will be over and people will start looking for me and I'll be there. I wear my best flashing red, and you will stand winner's circle thoroughbred. I will unthread the screws that will put you throughout this life, then smile and say, "You made it." When I was a kid, I traded in homework assignments for friendship. I gave each friend a late slip for never showing up on time, and in most cases, not at all. I gave myself a hall pass to get through each broken promise. And I remember this plan born out of frustration from a kid who kept calling me Yogi and pointed at my tummy and said, "Too many picnic baskets." Turns out it's not that hard to trick someone. And one day before class, I said, "Yeah, you can copy my homework." And I gave him all the wrong answers that I'd written down the night before. He got his paper back expecting a near perfect score and couldn't believe it when he looked across the room at me and held up a 0. I know I didn't have to hold up my paper of 28 out of 30, but my satisfaction was complete when he looked at me puzzled and I thought to myself, "Smarter than the average bear, motherfucker." When I was a kid, I slid love letters through the slots of lockers that belonged to my secret crushes, built paintbrushes from the tiny hairs that stood on end every time I saw them. My brainstem finally bloomed into thoughts. I connected dots and made masterpieces, each brushstroke a thesis dedicated to the explanation that you, not knowing who I was only because anonymity made it easier to be brave. I dipped my brush into a tidal wave of "I hope this will one day wash over me." I can guarantee, if you've ever had a secret admirer, it was someone very much like me who loved someone very much like you. It was someone who wanted to tell you how much you meant. How every second we spent thinking of you was simply the cost of getting us through the hard times. We saved nickels and dimes hoping our first date would be with you. Through the discipline of love, we give up comic books and video games. I promise you, every guy I've ever met remembers the names of the ones they loved first. That our thirst for love continues as we cross the deserts of maybe, believing we will find an oasis of yes. We acquiesce. Yes. We probably should have just said something. But we were chicken shit. We lit the fuses of our hearts and exploded every time we walked on by. When I was a kid, I did stupid shit. Ripped the women's underwear section out of the Sears Christmas wish catalog and blamed it on my granddad. He did end up covering for me and had only this to say: "You're only 12, so I'm impressed. But take it from experience, don't hide that under your mattress." So I didn't. I hid it in the empty box of a board game that I never used to play. And on the day when my grandmother eventually found it, she reamed him out for hiding pornography in her grandson's bedroom. The impending doom of the truth set upon me like a dying sun sending its last ray of light over the horizon and aimed directly at me. He didn't say a word. Incurred the full wrath and laughed at me later, saying, "It's like your heart. It doesn't matter where you hide it. Lovers are like little kids lifting up a rock looking for an insect that will find that shit." When I was a kid, I trusted myself enough to know that one day I'd be a man. One day I'd have a childhood for a past and a future for a backup plan. That every gauntlet I ran was a potato sack race in which time would chase me further toward an ending. I am bending myself back to the beginning, reminding myself there's no winning any race against yourself. Slow down. And when the kid in you falls, turn around, pick them up, dust them off, then continue. Trust me, you are going to need that kid. You are going to need someone to remind you that every weed is a flower, just trying to make shit work. That every jerk you ever encounter is just another someone who somehow forgot it's okay to need a hug. It's okay to be afraid. When I was a kid, I played hopscotch with the lines they drew in the sand, landed on the conclusion that secondhand clothes at least have the benefit of experience. And I've got a 137-hand heart broken apart and stitched back together at the seams of cartwheeled across balance beams made from the broken finger bones of people who could not let go of this life. I still love the night. I love the fact that if you squint your eyes just right, stars look like porcupines of light, stumbling across the dark, dipping their quills into the light, trying to write apologies for all of the unanswered questions from the times we once wished upon them, and sometimes I still wish. And most times I wish I didn't have to. I wish I didn't have to wish. So I guess what I'm saying is that I hope. I hope I never forget that kid who grew up inside me. He just seemed to laugh a little bit louder. Smile just a little bit longer. Loved a whole lot stronger. World's first official awesome longer. Taking awesome from door to door. Take as much as you need. Don't worry about me. I got more. I got a candy store filled with whatever it's going to take to make tomorrow sweet. I got 2 left feet, no bedtime. I'm still not brave enough to have an orgy, but I rock the slumber party. Come nap with me. First one to fall asleep loses. First one to fall asleep wins. The race stops at the start and the finish line is where it begins, so this time the first one to lose wins. I know we never meant to turn our hearts into garbage bins. It was an accident. I know the headlines about us giving up were a misprint and really just bad reporting. I know we've been boarding up all the windows from the outside and we've been doing it ever since they told us to start letting things go, and I know we got into the habit of throwing everything away. But your heart is a doorknock, and every time it beats, it's just that kid's way of asking, can you please come out and play? Thank you very much. We live in a pretty remarkable world if we're open to it, you know, like the people that we meet from day to day. A lot of the times, you know, like, I mean, there are people that you meet and you're just like, oh, I just don't have time for you right now. And so we shut people out, which is kind of sad because a lot of what I do is based on meeting people and hearing their stories and getting to know who they are and how they've affected me in that way. That's how I'm able to do what I do. And so I like to honor those people, and so I want to write, or I want to read this piece to you. So I'm going to do that, so just fucking strap in. And, they don't got rides like this at the PNE. I just had an image of one of those signs. You must be at least this tall. All right. Here we go. During visiting hours, I had to read the sick people. The kind of people who had no one. It was my punishment. Catholic school community service for farting on a nun's muffin. It was an accident, I swear to God. And every day would start the same way. She'd say, how you doing? I'd say, I'm doing all right. She'd say, I'm doing just fine. Point in fact, the cancer had taken both of her breasts. And I imagine wherever cancerous breasts get thrown, 2 of them mourned their lost body. But she could laugh. She had a laugh like a welcome mat. Or the same kind of smile Curious George would wear if he finally came out of the closet to be with the man in the big yellow hat. She'd touch where they used to be and say, you know, it's probably good that they're gone. My ex-husband used to go up them all wrong. She said half the time the only reason my nipples were erect was because they were trying to jump off my body to run away from his tongue. I was 13 years young. Thinking to myself, oh my God, you're awesome. For me, it was all about visiting hours. Hadn't read to her in days. She was too busy teaching me how to watch horror movies and laugh. Because all the monsters Hollywood can think of just aren't as scary as letting yourself be talked into believing you can be only half of what you are. She would put a hand on each scar and say, if you really want to get scared, watch the news. It's a steeplechase. Every day, thousands of people face going into thousands of knives, but it's still more cost-effective for doctors to pay off lawsuits than it is to save lives. So don't try walking a mile in my shoes, just wear my pajamas and walk in my dreams instead. Because this isn't a deathbed. You should say, I'm not going to give up today. I'm not going to lay here and take it. Because life is as elusive as getting an orgasm from my ex, so sometimes I just gotta fake it. So if anyone ever tells you, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, give up your foolish dream. If anyone ever tells you to quit, you gotta make them wear a diaper on their mouth because, man, they're just talking shit. And she'd smile and say, you gotta let your body be the rocking chair that soothes the tired body of hope. Let your arms be the rope around the neck of self-loathing. Let your skin be the clothing that keeps compassion warm in the cold streets of regret. She says, don't pray for me yet. And I said, no problem. Religion is something I gave up on, along with dieting. But love. Love is a feeling that in me and through me I've often called God, so I will love you. She looked me straight in the heart and said, it's a shame they don't make hospital beds for two. The kids, you got your own shit to do. And I can't continue to let you be doing all right. I'll be doing just fine. Not when there's a world full of people tired of dressing in shadows, just waiting for you to shine. Now bring me my goddamn Jell-O. She liked Jell-O. She liked me too. During visiting hours, I had to read to the people who I'd known, but this is about a woman named Everyone. This isn't about death. It's about the fact that I can still feel her breath in my ear. Sometimes I can even hear her say, you are not giving up today. Because I live in a world full of seeing eye underdogs. And I'm pretty sure we're all tired of wearing our choke chains. We're tired of being treated like walking canes in a world so blind no one can find each other. We just keep bumping into one another like people are just buildings made of bone who collapse every time they're made to believe that we're meant to stand alone, but you're not. Some of us can love. Some of us look like jokes. Not funny. Just the way people keep falling for us. And yeah, some of us are going to get cancer. Some of us are going to fall in our showers. But until then, you've got to shine, because all the time you get, it's just visiting hours. I think everybody here who went to school probably knew the one kid that got it worse than anybody else. The one kid that was maybe just picked on just a little bit more. And if you didn't know who that kid was, you were that kid. That's how I worked it out for myself. That's how I figured out who I was. Because I kept looking around, wondering who's getting it worse. There wasn't anybody. And every now and then, another writer is able to capture something better than you can. They say it better than you can. And when that happens, I'm like, fuck you. But also, thank you for doing that. It's a weird paradox, because it's like, I'm like, why didn't I write that? God damn it. And then I have like slow motion freakouts. I'm like, oh! Like that's about as violent as I'll get. I have to clean up after myself. But a friend of mine, Jeff Trenchard, wrote a piece that I thought captured that really beautifully. And I think it's one of the jobs of poets to spread the word about poetry, not just their own poetry, but the stuff that they find out in the universe as well. So this is a piece by a friend of mine, Jeff Trenchard. Let's see if I can remember. I'm really nervous right now. You know when you guys don't know. You can't possibly understand the depths of what's happening to me right now. I was gonna say, you know when you walk out on stage and you realize, I should have went to the bathroom. That. Oh, wow, okay. No way, I'm just gonna make me move. Remember the dance you used to do? Where you're just like, you're just shaking it, you're making it worse. It's like you're trying to make a smoothie inside yourself or something. Just plant it, man. Alright. Honestly, this is probably the most gracious audience I've ever been to that's offered me, you know what? Stop the show, go to the bathroom. I love it, I love you, thank you. You and I are gonna hug in the bathroom. I always love that expression, that's something else. Because it's like, what does that mean? It's like, there's a wombat, there's a giraffe, and there's something else. Jason. His white sneakers and black socks that he pulls up to his knees. He has cut off jean shorts and a Hawaiian shirt that he cannot for the life of him learn how to fucking button straight. He has multiple decks of Magic the Gathering collectible trading cards. And a hair gel ratio that is still in its experimental phase. The rest of the class is made up of 7th grade celebrity impersonators. Perfect examples of the powers of product placement decked out in rhinestone jeans and velour sweatsuits that cost more than I am paid to teach their poetry workshop. Jason is easily the most interesting one out of 40. And if I could, I would take the rest of them out to go watch Eliminate in the library. No one likes to admit it, but kids like these don't grow on trees. You can sometimes look at a 12-year-old and see the obnoxious idiot they could one day become. But these kids aren't bad in that grow up and sell crack to preschoolers kind of way. More the kind that are going to drive a Hummer with a Save the Planet bumper sticker. I can't blame them completely though. Jeff McDaniel says that some people are boring because their parents had boring sex on the night they were conceived. But Jason's different. A ball of nervous tics and endless Monty Python quotes. If you ask me, Mom and Dad got freaky. He knows more about They Might Be Giants than any human needs to. And he's read Lord of the Rings so many times he can speak Elvish. I know what I'm sorry, Similarity. But not one of the assignments Jason has handed in has had anything to do with who 50 Cent had beef with, or oh my God, Paris Hilton's getting out of jail. So he stands up to read his poem, clutching it in his hands like it was God's autograph. He says, "Ode to my bathroom. I am a roll of toilet paper. And my life is shitty." Now, to the kids at Union Middle School, shit is not just second banana to fuck. It is its own atomic bomb of profanity that sends electromagnetic spasms of laughter rippling through the crowd. The 12-year-old J-Lo in the front row laughs so hard she snorts, like a mouse stuck in a vacuum. Every day I see Jason watching her with the unrequited longing that you can only have when you're in love. He continues, "I was raised in a factory and born in a plastic bag.